Twitch presents our next big thing. Something long promised, but never delivered. Getting paid for using Twitter. For how many long years have you toiled for free on this god-forsaken site? What a mess. What a shame. What could have been. But now Twitch is here to save the day yet again. You'll finally be getting paid.
This is a great thumbnail.
Hard work.
Oh,
Are we
baby.
live?
Oh, we're live.
We're live right now.
We are live. Hotep's in vivo.
Welcome back to another episode of the Love and Crypto Podcast. I'm your host, Crypto Wendy O. This is my co-host, Hotep Jesus. You've been dancing all day.
I've been in a good mood.
Why?
Cause life is great.
Why?
Why is life great?
Yeah.
Cause I know you.
Aw, thank you. But really, what happened?
Just things are just clicking. Things are clicking. We have a great team. Everybody's like been super stellar. I'm just trying to keep up with the team. Like the team's moving and things are accelerating, and I'm just trying to keep up with the pace and just fulfill requests. Like one of the team members was like, "Yo, I need to see you on Tim Pool soon." So I'm like, "All right, cool, let's make that happen." So I'll be talking to Tim Pool Friday.
Nice.
Thank you. You know what I'm saying? So that's gonna be dope. Yeah. So HotepCon, August 11th through the 13th. I'm excited about that. We're putting that together. Trish is doing an amazing job. Shout out to Trish. Like I said, the team's just like just amazing people. But other than that, man, life is good, man. Life is good. I'm staying busy, trying to stay fit. I had a physical the other day. They told me my blood pressure was good. I said, thank you. You know what I'm saying? I knew it was. I'm Hotep. I don't really need no doctor to tell me nothing. But every once in a while, you get your blood work and all of that done. Let them check you out. And they told
Typical
me I was
man.
good. I mean, what I need them to tell me, I'm good. I know when I'm feeling right and when I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So they checked it. They said, wow, you have perfect blood pressure. Yeah, I work out, motherfucker. You should try it sometime. It does wonders.
Was the doctor overweight?
Yeah. This goddamn nurse was overweight. Wow, you got perfect blood pressure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes some people's bodies work differently and stuff like that. But I always, I don't know. I just remember like watching. You remember growing up and watching those old shows where the doctors used to be smoking and like diagnosing the patients and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm just gonna smoke this cigarette in the surgical room.
That's what they did. That's how they operated.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's crypto's crazy right now. I'm waiting for us to bottom out. I'm waiting for us to actually capitulate. And then, things are slower, but they're still like me. I'm busy because I got all this stuff I need to talk about all the time.
We had a great show earlier.
We had a good show earlier.
That was fun.
I like having you on because I didn't know I didn't know that there's a lot of different bankruptcies. Like, is there like a chapter 1 through 20 bankruptcy?
That's a good question. Only ones I know of were 7, 11, 12. No, 7, 13, 11, I think 14.
15.
Is it 15? Yeah, 15. Yeah. Those are like the main ones. It probably is a chapter 1. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it was, though. All I know is you don't want that 13. They hit you over the head with that 13. You got, how long they got? 10 days, 15 days or something to make a plan. You got to, they on you on a deadline with that. You better have a plan. Capped at 400K.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is I'm watching all this stuff play out, but something's off. Something's not right. It's not adding up correctly to me.
What do you mean?
Well, we talked about how Voyager claimed bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So we don't have access to their full documents. I'm sure,
Right.
once all this starts happening, we'll get more and more information.
Yeah.
But there was a loan that they had loaned out money to Three Arrows Capital, which is kind of what started this whole crypto contagion thing. Three Arrows Capital was was a VC hedge. I don't know what the hell they're doing, a bunch of weird stuff like a VC hedge fund. They're doing a little bit of everything with random with a lot of different people's money. So they loaned them like $500 million or $600 million. And then 600 million, something like that. And then FTX, Alameda Research, Sam gave them like $500 million, but they're still firing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So something's not sitting right with me. There's things that are not adding up properly.
Yeah, that's stanky leg right there.
Yeah, something's not adding up. But anyways, I'm just watching this all play out. I'm doing the best I can to educate my audience. But I liked what you brought to the table because I didn't know that there was all those different bankruptcies.
Yeah. Trump was famous for utilizing the system. Some people think when you file for bankruptcy, it means you're broke. Sometimes you file for bankruptcy to make money. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother show, and I ain't got time to get into it tonight. They ain't coming after me.
Before we talk about the topic, because the reason why I know you covered this a lot of different times with other people, but I wanted to
cover this as many times as we need to. This is a very important topic. I had a debate recently with a Democrat candidate, congressional candidate. Did you see that?
I didn't. I saw parts of it though.
Did you? Oh wow! You must have saw the clips that were online. People were clipping it.
I'll go back and watch it this weekend or listen. Actually, no, I don't want to watch. I want to listen. I want to hear what was being said.
It was informative. It's very informative. If you have an open ear, you will always learn in a debate. That's why I love debates, because you will always learn something. And she dropped a lot of gems. However, when it comes to the legal ramifications of the decisions coming out of SCOTUS, she had to capitulate. Clarence Thomas was correct. I didn't say that in those words, because if I'd have said Clarence Thomas is correct, she'd be like, oh my God, no, Clarence Thomas is a code. And she wouldn't have said that, but it would have turned into a whole nother argument. Are you familiar with what the decision happened? Are you familiar with the decision?
Well, I'm familiar that they said that they overturned it. So basically what that means, though, so this is what happens on social media. People hear something that's newsworthy. They hear something that could potentially impact them, or something they're very passionate about that might not even impact them. So they don't do research in this. The only time that I get that crazy is when it involves babies, when it involves our babes. If I feel that our babes are being wronged, I lose it. And that's me being a woman. That's me being irrational. That's me being emotional. That's me being a mother. And that's me wanting to protect children. So sometimes I will act like if somebody does something bad to a kid, I lose it. Like I get, and it's something that I need to work on, but at the same time, I don't want to necessarily change it or work on it too much, because I feel like if that could help protect a child, then why should I retract that motherly feeling? So
yeah, I think we should pull out all measures to protect children.
Yeah,
absolutely, 100% agree.
But what they did was, it was actually very American, because if you study American history, what they did was they gave that decision to the states. Yes. And they said, let the states deal with it. We don't want to deal with this. We don't want to fight. It's wasting time. It's wasting money. It's wasting everything. They don't want to deal with it. So I understand that. But then it's just kind of a hard topic, because then the issue is it goes to the states, and then you read about that. You hear different stories. So I'll talk about that in some of my personal experiences and how I'm dealing, like how I'm rationalizing all of it. Because when I first heard it, I was like, I had to do a lot of soul searching. I had to do a lot of thinking to really analyze what that decision meant and what happened. But I also know that they did something with Miranda rights as well. And I think that that's very important, very, very important, because if somebody is not given their Miranda rights properly, and they are accused of something and they go to court and they end up going to jail, or they could go to jail if the Miranda rights were not given properly, it could have the case dismissed. And that's a very important thing because there's a lot of people in jail. There are some cases of people in jail that were not treated properly because of certain circumstances, and they should not be in jail because of that.
Yeah. So there's some retroactive work that may need to be done.
Yeah. So
Absolutely. But I think what it is emotional manipulation, wholly by people who know what's going on and are familiar with the correct decisions. However, there is an election to be had, and people have campaigns, and then you have platforms to create for these campaigns. So, and abortion's a hot topic. It's a very hot topic. Roe v. Wade is a hot topic. So where you have hot topics, do you know what you have, Wendy O?
Money, publicity, attention. It's easy to grift. Very easy to grift.
There you go. You just said it. Goddamn.
Hotep.
She just said it. The grift. Where there's a hot topic, you will find the grift. She just said it. She knows. And the grifters are out. The grifters are out.
Yep.
And it's sad because people are actually hurt by this emotionally. Ignorant of the facts. People are still emotionally charged up.
Do you want to know what the funny thing is about being? And I'm going to give my opinion and talk about it. But the thing to me that is the craziest thing to me about it, the way people are acting in LA County.
What do you mean? How are they at? Oh, in like a place where nobody's gonna get an abortion ban? Exactly. Like, why are you protesting there? Like, nobody's stopping you getting an abortion out there.
The problem that with me, that this is what I have with it. You want to protest, that's fine. But I wish that what we would do instead of, because what they do is they come and they close the freeway down on the 10 freeway right before when you're on your way from let's say you're on your way from San Bernardino with San Bernardino County, and you're trying to get into LA, you have to pass downtown LA, and then you have to get on the 101 to go to Hollywood to keep going out there. They get on where the train station is, where public transportation is. They get on that like off Vengeance right by the Twin Towers, the jail facility, and they block the effing street off. And my problem with that is it's really close to the 110. It's really close to all these separate places where you need to go.
Right.
And let me tell you something that's problematic for me is because I used to have to drive that route. And I want to say it was when right before Trump had gotten elected, I believe it was, but they were protesting, being all crazy. I'm pregnant. I'm freaking so pregnant driving. I have to pee. My bladder's full. My boobies are full. It was because it was terrible. It was terrible. And I'm scared. I'm like, what happens if one of these MFers tries to pull me out the car or something like that? Because they were upset about, I forget what they were upset about. But that's my only thing is like, you want to protest, that's your business, but don't block the freeways, because what happens if that's somebody's grandma or that's somebody's auntie or somebody that like, you're putting them in danger. They're trying to go, what happens if that's somebody trying to go get an abortion? I just don't like the blocking of the freeways. Let the people that don't care, just leave the people alone. That's all that I gotta say.
Yeah, it causes a serious inconvenience, especially in cases of emergency.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's scary.
It's not humanitarian at all. It's not considerate. It's disrespectful. Have you ever seen them charge into a church, though? Have you ever seen them enter a establishment of worship?
Not in LA, no.
I've seen it on the internet.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen that, but this is what I would do. I would work to raise money for places outside of places you could actually legally get an abortion. And I would work to go get them the services that they need. I would help lobbyist groups. I would send other protesters to go protest for them over there. But I just don't understand why, because like all it does is it makes us look stupid, in my opinion. Like I understand it's something that's upsetting. It could be emotional. It could be whatever it is. But I don't feel that blocking off the freeways are going to do a really big thing, because what you're doing is it's almost like you're kind of throwing a fit.
Well, Wendy, you have to understand that when you see anything of a large occupation in an area, more than likely it's astroturfed. It has been well funded and organized by particular alphabet agencies, and I'm not talking about the upper class ones. I'm talking about the lower class ones. However, these things are wholly domestic NGOs, I guess you can call them, and they're deployed rather quickly, and they're deployed with that purpose, exactly what you said, to be disruptive. And they know this could hurt people, and again, Bolsheviks do not care. Okay, Bolsheviks want to make your life a living hell. It's like they wake up in the morning and go, okay, whose life can we turn to hell today? This is what Bolsheviks do via fascism.
So I used to be a negative person, very, very negative, but I realized that wasn't. Daddy issues, hello. Trauma, hello. What do you expect? I just spit everywhere.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh,
listen, okay? That's why that's not how you get to achieve anything great in life. Instead of being miserable and angry, you could be upset about something. You could be emotional about something. You could be like, I need to do something. I need to speak out and reach out, do something. But I don't know. I just feel like I could put my energy to better use. So that's why we're doing the show. That's why we're going to talk about my feelings about Roe v. Wade being overturned.
Yeah, energy is good. All is energy. And it's just about where do we move it? Where do we move this energy? As long as we move this energy into the bins of godliness.
Yes.
The bins of love. The bins of Jesus Christ. As long as we move them into bins of love, we can do no wrong. But we have.
You sound like my daughter. You sound like my daughter because she's out here reciting Bible verses in English and Espanol.
See, there we go.
And then she'll cuss you out at both.
Lord have mercy, baby kids.
Okay, so I'm gonna give I took like a long time to think about this, and it might come out fuzzled because I am tired. So the way that I feel, I really thought about it for a long time. And this is somebody who's a mother. This is somebody who had an ectopic pregnancy, who had to actually have a medical abortion. I guess that's what they call it. But this is just the way I felt. Like after I had my daughter, I used to be pro-choice. And then after I had my daughter, I became pro-life because I was like, because after you have a child, after you become a parent, it changes you. It really, really does change you. Yes. If you're a mature adult, it changes you.
Yeah.
And then
people who don't have kids shouldn't be allowed to vote.
And then, and then I sat and I thought about it, and I was kind of going back and forth for a long time because let's face it, an abortion is it is an ugly thing. It is a tragic thing. It's a painful thing. It's a hurtful thing. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of emotions that are involved, and it's a very personal choice between the woman. Mm-hmm. And if the man is a good man, between the man, because let's face it, there's some bad guys out there that do bad things to women to get them in that particular position. So I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? As a 30 plus woman today, I am pro-life, but as a 21-year-old woman, I was pro-choice. So what I did is I took myself out of the woman I am today, and I thought about the woman I was when I was 21. Mm-hmm. And when I had to have that ectopic pregnancy, and when I had a more risky lifestyle, and when I wasn't in committed relationships. And by the way, when I did have the ectopic pregnancy and I did have to get the medical abortion, I was in a committed relationship, and I had just started a new job, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I took myself out of the woman I am today and placed myself into the woman I was, the really damaged young girl, was making really poor life decisions, and we'll leave it at that. And I says, you know what? Just because I was capable of evolving and growing up and maturing, and I did become successful, and I am working on healing myself as a person, I shouldn't punish that girl who was not living properly, who was living fast, who was living dangerous, who was making very, very poor life decisions. Because I wanted to put one of the things I learned when I worked in HIV AIDS and infectious disease was taking myself out of the equation and remembering that when you go to the doctor, it's not because you want to go.
Right.
It's because you're not feeling good. And actually, when I got my certification to work in healthcare, that was the most important thing that I actually learned. Not about dosage calculations, not about medication and interactions, not about billing, not about any of that stuff. But it was this thing, and it still stuck with me. People don't go to the doctor because they feel good. They go to the doctor because they're sick, because they're feeling bad, because they're uncomfortable, different things. And then I remembered working in healthcare, and the approach that I took with every one of my clients is I sat with them. I learned about who they were as an adult today, as a person 20 years ago. I learned their partners' names, their wives, their husbands, their kids. I knew everything about them, because in order for me to provide them with good and proper care, I needed to have some sort of compassion, some connection, understand who they were. So I do that with people. And then as I was thinking about all of this stuff, I just remember a time to where I was in a relation. I was young. I was 14. He was 16. We were in a relationship together, which he was way too old for me at that time. And he was doing things to me that were not nice. And after those not nice things were done, I was super young, I was 14, and this went on until I was almost 18. I just remember thinking sometimes how scared I was. I was like, what if I get pregnant? My mom's going to kill me. And there were things that I didn't really have a choice over at times. And there's a lot of manipulation, whatever stuff happening. So then I started thinking about that version of myself. And I said, you know what? I am pro-life, but I'm also pro-choice. So for me, I like one of the cool things. Well, I don't want to say it's a cool thing, but one of the things about living in California is I do have the right to choose. I do get the right to choose, what I want to do with my body in that aspect. But of course, with the no, that you, which we're not going to talk about that. So then I just thought about that. And then I started thinking about when I was doing the volunteer work at the shelter, the training. And then I started thinking about the DV, the SA, and all of those things that happen. And sometimes the abuse is not always black and white. It's not always physical. It could be mental. And some of that mental abuse is with finances. It's with trapping a partner, and that could be both for men and for women. And I'm going to get to the man's rights also in this too, because it's a combined effort of both men and women. Except if the man does something, the SA thing or the DV thing, then that we don't tolerate in any way, shape, or form. Those are not men. They need to be put down, in my personal opinion, because they're not any good to society, men that do that stuff. So there's that. And I just kind of started thinking about all this. And then I started thinking about myself and other women I knew growing up. I never once reported any time that DV had occurred or SA had occurred. And there's multiple times that I could have, and I didn't. I never did. There was one time when I went, and the reason why I didn't report it is because they made me sit in the waiting room for over an hour. And I just says, you know what, whatever. I don't want to do this. I just felt so awkward and uncomfortable and inhumane. So I left. So then I started thinking about other women like that. And they say that only 30% of DV and SA cases are actually reported. If somebody wants to check that stat, please do. So then I started thinking about that. I was like, you know what? That's true. Women don't always report cases. And this goes for men too, because there's things that happen with men where women are very abusive and they don't report. So we don't really report as a society. We don't hold these people accountable. So then I sat and I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Who am I to tell somebody else what they can and can't do with their body? Because I don't know the situation. What happens if there's a couple together? It looks magical. Everything looks like it's great on the outside, fantastic. But on the inside, they go home and he's forcing her to do stuff. Because that's something that could happen too. So I thought about all those things and I says, you know what? I am pro-life, but I'm also pro-choice. I'm both together because I don't want to tell anybody what they can and can't do. I really think that it should be a choice between the patient and the doctor. really. And I feel like if the doctor thinks that it's not safe, if the doctor thinks that there's underlying issues, if the doctor is not comfortable with doing it, then they should have the right to say no.
If you want to kill your retarded ass kid, fuck it, kill him.
There's different things. So I didn't want to be that person. I just didn't want to be that person that,
well, yeah,
that's that whatever. And then I like, one of the things I had to do was, and another thing too, I'm going to talk about this that a lot of people don't want to talk about. Part of the reason probably why they overturn this is because I have seen videos of women on the internet celebrating that they got an abortion.
Yeah.
Being excited about it. And that's not what it's for. That's not what it's for.
That's Satan.
It's not what it's for at all. And I think it's a very small percentage of women, just like in crypto, we have a small percentage of incels that are really nasty and mean to women. So I think that is a very small percentage of women that are doing that. And of course, the videos go viral and people talk about it. So I didn't want to be that person that was feeling, that was like, oh, I'm pro-life, because really, unless you actually know the history of the patient and you know what they went through and you know what's going on, you shouldn't really be the one to judge if they should do that or they shouldn't do that. Also, too, you don't know what type of abortion that they're having. Sometimes it's medically necessary. And some of these states are going to make it very complex for some of these women. We saw what happened in Ohio with the 10-year-old girl. That was very terrible. And of course, Gavin Newsom in his video to Florida didn't address that, but had to attack. But anyways, so that's where I thought on it. And I actually was very upset. I was crying. I was very emotional for the last week or so, and just really kind of thinking about this whole thing. And then I started seeing some nasty shit being posted online. Some women were attacking other women. They're like, the women that are mad about that abortion got, that Roe v. Wade got overturned are just whores and they just want to be able to be out and be promiscuous. And I'm thinking to myself, I got mad. I was thinking to myself, I go, you've obviously never had to survive anything in your life. And you sound like that you came up with a silver spoon in your mouth, because if you're somebody that had someone force you to do something against your will, you'd probably change your tune. You'd probably be pro-choice.
Yeah, but sex work Twitter was definitely all over it too.
I see. If you're a sex worker,
it depends on which side your windows face. When you log on to Twitter, pretend you're in a house, right? Mm-hmm. And you only got windows on three sides, right? And what if it's only shining on the side you ain't got no window, but somebody got a window shining to that side? You might say the weather is different from what they might say. You know what I mean? Some people only have a window into basically what they're following. So because they, some people nasty out here, they probably following a bunch of sex workers. So that's what they see on their timeline. So you kind of got to take a little bit of grain with the salt when people make.
I don't know, but that's the thing. The thing though is to come out and say something like that and just say because a woman's being promiscuous, that's the only reason why they would want to have that was, and because there's a large segment that want to be irresponsible with their parts. But that could also be said with men. There's an argument for that as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So,
takes two.
But then
you just don't make one by itself, not yet.
But I mean, I feel like sex workers should be if you're in a profession like that, that's your business. I don't have any issue with people doing sex work. That's their business. But if you're going to be just like, for example, Lowe's dad, when he goes to work, when he's working on, because he's an electrician, he's working on stuff like hot wires. He wears gloves to protect his hands so he doesn't die and get shocked. If there's a risk in your profession, you should, birth control is a great option. If that's what your profession is. That's just my personal opinion. My personal opinion. But some people are not mature enough to make that decision, whatever it is. But then also too, I was seeing the argument, and then I kept seeing the argument that, that RAPE cases are so low and that's such a small percentage of it. And then that's what pissed me off, because I was like, okay, I get that might be a small percentage of it, but many women, because women, we don't report in general. I know, a group of me, it was me and 5 girls. myself included, growing up. 4 of us, all, I know for a fact, we're all victim of DV and SA. And none of it, the only person that reported it was one girl, and that was it. And she went through hell on earth to report it. It was an absolute nightmare for her to report it. The way she was treated, the way they did the intake, all of that. So my whole point with that is I understand people might, think whatever, but a lot of times we just don't report it. So, but I sat and I did a lot of thinking about this. But at the same time, one of the things that bothers me, another aspect of this that bothers me, is I feel like men are not given a say in it. And it's not fair to them, because there are some good guys out there that, couples get together, they decide they want something, the woman says, I don't want it, the man wants it. And I feel like just as long as there's proper disclosures and there's like an attorney involved, or they can get some sort of document to where the woman doesn't have to be involved, doesn't have to pay child, like whatever it is, if they want to keep it on that aspect, that's fine. But I feel like men do deserve some protection, additional protection, because I feel like that you guys are not protected enough by the laws at times. The good guys aren't, the bad guys get away with everything.
Don't worry, soon they're going to put the uterus right inside the man. He's going to be able to carry it on his own.
That's another issue I have. That's another issue with it, is because.
Don't you worry. Men are about to have a say-so very soon.
They already have a say-so. And the crazy thing about it is the tea community, and it's mostly the younger tea community. It's not the older tea community, because my people, completely different than what you see today. Like the older LGBTQTA plus, it's very different. It's very, very different. Like very, very different than what you see today. Like my gay friends, they are very protective of children. They don't want children in Pride. They don't want children in drag shows. They are very much like it's very different than what you see on social media. Very, very different.
The revolution will be botted. Shout out to Willie Handy. He said, hit me with that Hotep Jesus dude for my birthday.
That Hotep Jesus dude.
Shout out to Willie Handy. Happy birthday, bro.
Happy birthday. Sending love and light and many, many more.
Holy movie star. He said, Charlie Delta Charlie, AB surveillance. 38% is many states don't report. Has 2. Oh, man.
What happened?
He hitting a lot of keywords, a lot of hot keywords over here.
Let me look in the chat and see.
Interesting.
Hold up, I want to see this.
Shout out to the chat. Where did Tasha Kayleen go? Where'd she go? Tasha, where you at? I agree with what you say. When you're dealing with those rare moments, where there's DV and SA, I can understand. However, if you just been slinging the pudenda.
Yeah, but and also too, I wanted to say something else too. Like somebody in the chat said, it's never medically necessary. No, well, I disagree with that, because when I had the ectopic pregnancy, and it was so early, it was only like a 4.5. It was at like 6 weeks or something like that. They were having trouble finding the embryo or the fetus, because it was in my tubes and they could barely see it. And I made the choice then, and because I was so sick, I gained like 10 pounds in like that time period. I was bloated. I couldn't stay awake. And I was driving 3 to 4 hours round trip commute 5 days a week for the job that I had when I was working at retail in a thrift store. And they said, and I says, they're like, you have an ectopic pregnancy. And I says, okay, well, am I going to feel better? Is this going to go away? They says, no. So I would have died if I didn't get that procedure done. And they gave me a shot and then whatever. And it felt absolutely terrible. It was awful. But, sometimes there are procedures that need to be done to save the mother's life. And that's another hard thing. So it's a really hard topic. And what I wish would happen, I wish before people went on social media and said absolutely disgusting things to another person for not agreeing with them, that they took a step back and they're understanding, I probably don't know the whole story about this person. And I think another problem we have in the United States of America is that we don't do individualized healthcare. We group people together from statistics and we say, you know what, your group's got the diabetes. So we're going to treat it this way. And that's not how it works, because I have different genetics than you do. Yeah. Okay. And we're like, you might be prone to something else, something that I'm not, et cetera. So we can't, and we both have diabetes. We can't just treat you and I the same because we're different. I'm a woman, you're a man. Yeah. Well, it is 2022. So who the hell knows anymore? And you can't treat that way. You have to treat people on an individual basis. And that's another problem we have, is that these people are sitting and judging other people when they don't know the other person's medical history. Let the doctor decide. That's just my opinion. I think if these people, these medical professionals, they need to be the ones to decide what they want to do.
What they want to do as far as what?
If they want to complete the service or the procedure.
For a fee?
Yeah, or whatever.
You're on one tonight. Is it a full moon? What's going on? Is it a full moon? Wendy's on one at night.
No, it's just because I sat and I thought about this. I really, really thought about this. It's a first quarter moon.
It's a first quarter moon?
Yeah. I sat and I thought about this, and I was crying and I was really upset, and I was talking to him about it, and he was actually being so my husband, he is pro-life. He is conservative. He is pro-life. But at the same time, he and I have disagreements he's super conservative, but he and I have disagreements about stuff, but we have like an adult conversation. And when I sat down and when I was crying, I wasn't even crying at that point. I don't let him see me cry ever, because I have to be a bad bitch. But anyways, I explained to him my stance on this. And we talked about the DV and the SA, and we talked about, all these different things. And he's like, I understand what you're saying. And he's like, I think it's important to pay attention to those things. So he didn't discount what I said. He paid attention, and it wasn't like he was agreeing with me, but at the same time, he heard what I had to say and he heard my concerns and whatnot. So it was a nice conversation we had.
And who is this?
My husband.
Oh, you and the hubby over this topic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Wasn't that dandy?
So that's the way I feel. And I just wish people would be kinder to other people. And I also wish people wouldn't sit there and judge other people because they don't know. And on top of it, if it's like that, that's just that one story about that little girl in Ohio, which is absolutely tragic. But there's a lot more of that stuff that happens. It just doesn't get reported. We don't have the statistics. We don't have them because we're not reporting. If you're not reporting, then you don't know. And on top of it, you can't force a survivor to report this stuff because sometimes we're scared. It's freaking scary having to do that. And it makes you feel embarrassed and ashamed, and sometimes scared, because sometimes the guy that's committing those vile things to you is not a nice person, especially especially some of the women that I know that it happened to. This one girl I know, I won't even tell you what was done to her. She was so effing scared that they were going to come get her and get her family. She kept her mouth shut. And what they did to her they kidnapped her, and what they did to her was terrible. She didn't get pregnant, thank God, but she was too scared to report. Too scared to report because she knew what would happen to her and her family. So that's my stance on that. As a former healthcare partner and as a woman, as a mother, as I am pro-life, but I also support the right to choose, because I don't know their healthcare background. I don't know what's going on with them, and I'm not the provider. So it's a personal choice between the father, just as long as it was consensual, the woman, and the doctor. If it's not consensual, and if there's wrongdoing happened, or it was a minor, then that's a different story.
I started a new religion.
Okay.
You want to know what it's called?
What?
Mind your businessism. Everybody just mind their business. It's really cool.
But if we mind our business, but people be minding their business, you don't have nothing to talk about. You and Uncle Hotep are gonna have nothing to talk about.
You're right. Show's over.
You got to get the grift on, man.
We just gonna preach to everybody to mind your business.
So that, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about, I needed to verbalize it because I saw so many, and then I started seeing online too, and I can't even speak on this topic because like then I started seeing all these subgroups of women fighting with each other and like this is a white woman's fight and this is not our fight and and then I'm thinking to myself, but some of you guys are in California, so it's like California is so especially LA County, it's so diverse here and everybody's mixed with everybody. So I'm just like, I don't need I'm like
they paying for the abortions out there. Your job will pay you.
You could go to you could literally walk into a PP and say, I want to get this done, and you could be making $200,000 a year and you don't have to give none of your information and get it done for free.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You can go to any STD providers, HIV providers, any of those types of services. You can walk in and for free. And if you want to go to a clinic, you can get free healthcare too. A lot of people and that's what's California is crazy, especially in LA County. You can get a lot of free services.
That's why it's so expensive to live out there.
Well, please don't even get me started. And then Daddy Gavin Newsom, our governor. I know that bastard wants to run for what the hell is it called? For president. He put out an ad targeting DeSantis and is saying, oh, California is so much better. California is so much better. Listen, MFer, people literally left. People fled California to go to Florida and to go to Texas because it is crazy here. Yeah, I'm not even gonna, the homelessness, that's a mess, but our kids, the fact that we pay the highest tax rate ever in the world in LA County, and we shouldn't have a school that's a 3 out of 10. Nowhere in LA County should a public school be a 3 out of 10. Come on.
Well, the closer you are to socialism, the more you're going to be closer to what they would call inequality.
Of course, because what they're doing. And then one other thing they're doing, the stupid stimulus check. It's the dumbest thing ever. They're giving a $50 to $1,000, or they're giving $1,000 stimulus check to help with inflation. Do you know how much $1,000 stimulus? You can't even rent a room anymore in LA County for $1,000 a month.
That shit is gas money.
It's not even. It's going to be gas money for 1 week. The fuck that's not gonna $1,000 is going to do. It's hush money. It is hush money. That's all they're doing. They're saying, take this stimmy, take this $1,000 stimmy, and I'm doing something good for you. So I want they're buying your vote is what they're doing. And realistically, you lower the tax rate, you cut back on some stuff instead of doing what we're doing. Because what we're doing right now, what are we doing? You're giving $1,000 stimulus checks for what? Hush money. You did your chores this week. You got up and you did what you were supposed to do. You got up and washed your ass. Here's $1,000. Now go vote for me. You did the bare minimum. What else is it? What else? What else? Tell me. What else is a stimulus check? $1,000.
What else does it do?
Yeah, what else does it do? Tell me. Tell us. Enlighten us.
It just smells like inflation. It smells like inflation in I don't know what market. Obviously, probably the California market, but it just smells like inflation. Price of goods go up. Local stores. Yeah, it doesn't feel right. You don't never want to just give out money frivolously. It just doesn't make sense. But you got to remember, when you're dealing with communism wants to kill the middle class, and basically, when you say you want to destroy the middle class, basically what you're saying is you want to increase the size of the lower class. They claim they want to destroy the upper class, but really they want to.
No, because they're blaming it on corporations, and yes, corporations do have their problems. Don't get me wrong.
Corporations?
Huh?
What corporations? The same corporations that just got finished celebrating Pride Month?
Oh, they made a killing.
The same corporations that banned Donald Trump from the internet? What corporations is they talking about? The same corporations that's in alignment with them?
I don't know. But your president is talking about telling the gas stations, the small mom and pop shops, which is funny to me because a lot of the gas stations are owned by freaking immigrants, people that come here to get a better quality of life. He's telling them to just lower the prices, even though the oil industry is one of the most regulated industries, I think, outside of finance in the United States of America. Like the US government literally dictates what they pay, like what they can charge. Made no sense.
They need to lower the tax. That's what they need to do. They need to lower the tax on the shit if they cared. But that's another story for another day. So let me think about that. If we lower the tax, what would that do? Actually, you know what? I wouldn't even lower the tax. I would just like freeze the government's assets.
Oh, you mean freeze China's assets?
There you go. There you go. I mean, like, yo, freeze all transactions coming in and out of this corporation. We need to do an audit. That's what I would.
The United States of America should file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Yes, it should. Yeah, it's time to take a look at the books and reorganize this thing.
But that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to articulate it when I was ready to, because it's something that really bothered me. Because I was just I wanted to explain it like that, because I don't know if anybody's explained it like that before.
You did a good job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. I almost cried. So yeah, I know you were.
Oh, shut up. I got one more question before we go, though.
Breezy said many SA claims go unreported. However, many false accusations get slung at good men. The only solution is sending this moral question back to the locals' role was cultural imperialism.
I agree with that too, because I had to take care of some girl that lied about my stepsister's boyfriend that did that to her, because it was definitely consensual. I walked in, it was very consensual. So that stuff does happen. That does happen too, and that's another big problem that we have, is like, how do we stop this from happening? I'll tell you how we stop it from happening. We have more fathers in the household.
I like that.
I really feel, I really, really, really feel it. And I should get my mom to come on and talk with us, because my mom was talking about her experience growing up and how the neighborhoods used to be, especially the Sicilian Italian neighborhoods. Like, everybody was in everybody's business. Everybody was knowing what all the kids were doing. All the parents would talk to each other. There was accountability, like, because on the blocks, it was all Sicilian or all Italian, like whatever it was. And everybody was, especially the mothers were in everybody's business. And when the kids were bad, the mothers would tell the dad, and when the dad got home, and those kids straightened out, and a lot of them did really well. And that's why a lot of like the boomers from that era, like my mom's people, they did really well for themselves, because they came from 2-parent households. The dads laid the law down. Did
you just mention a 2-parent household?
Yeah.
How strange.
It's important.
That's exactly what Black Lives Matter wanted to kill.
Well, I will tell you this. I will tell you that Black lives do matter, but I would prefer to
Nobody's life matters.
Huh?
Nobody's life matters.
People's lives do matter. They do.
Babies' lives matter. Kids' lives matter.
They do.
Yeah, that's the problem. Everybody living for themselves. Nobody living for the kids. Kids is watching.
The kids
is watching right now.
They are watching.
The kids is watching us. Somewhere there's a kid watching us. We have to be a shining example of what it is we want to see them be in this world. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They're going to mimic you. They're going to pretend to be Crypto Wendy O. Some little girl out there's going to say, I want to be Wendy O.
Oh, Lord. I'm like, no, baby, you don't. You can take different parts of me. You can take different parts of me that aren't broken.
She wants to be Crypto Wendy O. She's going to be looking up to you. She's going to mimic you until she becomes a young woman. And then she's going to find herself and her style. But in the meantime, your mommy, your big sis.
That's fine. I'm with it.
To young women out there.
I'm with it.
And if people move through this planet knowing that these are the type of eyes on them, we'll make a beautiful world.
I like that.
The eyes of the mirror. You hear what I said?
I like that. The
The
eyes of the mirror.
eyes are the mirror. Mm,
I have to.
mm,
I'm gonna write that down. Think
write
about
that
that.
down. That's a Hotep Jesus quotable. The eyes are the mirror. That's why
Tell us what
people
that.
came. That's why people came tonight.
The eyes of the mirror.
The eyes of the mirror.
Okay,
Right?
I like that.
Why?
I
What
don't
does the
know.
mirror do? What does the mirror
It
do?
reflects back at
It
you.
reflects. So whatever you watch, you become.
Ooh.
And you get the reflection in somebody's eyes if you look in their eyes. The eyes are the mirror. The eyes are the mirror. So be careful what you set your eyes upon, because you will become, you will mirror that. You will mirror that which you place in front of your eyes. That's why I'm very, very particular about what I place in front of my eyes. Sometimes people, share these videos of people dying and getting shot, and I'm just like, ooh, I don't. Why would I want that? I don't want that in my brain.
No.
That's not something I would like. Yeah. So, the eyes of the mirror.
Well, speaking of that, my mom came over for 4th of July and she told me a story that I had completely forgot about where we lived growing up. And I wish she didn't tell me.
They were shooting up.
Well, no, apparently, so where we lived, I grew up in this suburb. Okay. So where we lived, hold on, let me tell you, hold on, please. So where I lived we lived in these townhomes, and on the other side, and everywhere in LA County, there's streets that weird stuff happens. So where I lived, it was supposed to be the suburbs. It really wasn't, though, because all the crazy stuff that's happening. So anyways, the apartments behind us, there were government housing. And there was a brick wall, like a 5-foot wall. And so what happened was, when all the crazy stuff was popping off in LA, people would relocate to where in the suburb that I lived. Okay. And they would bring all their drama with them. So the apartment building behind us, they would have the two opposing colors that were there. So there's all this fussing and fighting all the time. So my mom, I guess she had gone outside to do something or whatever, or she went upstairs and she looked out, because we'd always pay attention, because that's where the kids would play and that's where they would have their fights and the shootouts, whatever it was. But there was a dead body on the floor, on the concrete, and and so she had to go and she called the police and whatever. And then she saw two people walking over and looked over and they're like kicking him. Oh, I think he's whatever. So they had to go. But back then we didn't have cell phones. So that was a common occurrence that would happen over there. Plus there was prostitutes hanging out the windows with their out selling themselves, all kinds of stuff.
Oh my, where is this suburb?
Is it a suburb? I don't know. It was just a street we lived on, the little area.
What's the name of the street?
I can't tell you. On live television.
It sounds like a bad Netflix series.
It was real. It was real life. It was real life. And then I go to my mom's house. I'm gonna call it
Cottage Lane. Stories from Cottage Lane.
Well, anyways, after when I was like 20 something, it cleaned up. Like, so things got cleaned up. But then it cleaned up. Well, not really. Because my brother-in-law used to come up. Please, that's another story. But anyways, I went to go to my mom's house a couple of days ago, and apparently it's not cleaned up because some new people moved into where she is, and we got the person at the front that's in and out all the time. We got the SWAT team that comes there on occasion, and then there was some other guy I could tell he was fresh out, the way he was dressed and the way he looked. That was like 5 houses went from my mom. And I says, okay. All right. But anyways, on closing thoughts, I have a question for you.
Okay. What's the question?
What do you think about Andrew Tate? He's that guy, the bald-headed guy that talks about having like 5 or 6 women and talks about masculinity. He's in Romania. He's just kind of.
Yeah, Andrew Tate. I know who Andrew Tate is. Yeah. I had to figure out because he's got a brother too.
Does he?
Yeah. So I had to make sure you weren't talking about the brother. But yeah, I know Andrew Tate. Yeah. What about him?
Okay, so this is the thing. I know what he's trying to do. He's really good at marketing. Really, really, really good at marketing. Amazing at marketing. But it's all but the funny thing about it to me is all these men that are idolizing him. They're too big pussies to act like that, to be an alpha man. They're never going to take anything that he does and apply it to themselves. And I feel like they're just watching him for entertainment, but they're really still like incels or whatever. Like, I don't know. I just get, and I get that what he's saying, only 25% of it is true.
It's like that in a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
You'll have somebody who is, let's say your fans, right? You crypto fans. 80% of them are not doing the studies outside of listening to you. You know what I'm saying? 20% are actually doing the studies, maybe even less, are actually like, checking the stuff out and, you know what I mean? Doing their due diligence. But no. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, because when you mention them, like, I see his stuff on my timeline, but like, I don't see enough of it to be like, to have an opinion on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess.
He got his little lane, and you know what I mean? I stay in my lane and he stay in his lane, and that's that. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing, like, I don't really be checking out other content creators. I don't
either, because I'm the best.
And it's no diss to them. It's just that, like, the stuff that I'm listening to is like it's mostly like history. Like, I'm listening to like history books, you know what I'm saying? Like, or I'm watching some chess tournament update or something like that. If you look at my history is very like clear cut as to what it is I consume. So yeah, I don't know. I don't, somebody asking, who's your favorite content creator? I'm gonna say, Hikaru Nakamura. Simple as that. People are like, who's that? I'm like, all right, never mind. Right? But that's just, the streamer I watch, right? But he's a chess streamer. I like watching chess streams. I like Coach EO. Coach EO I find to be very entertaining. But also backs it up, like he's legit, like he's not spitting no fake game, right? You know what I'm saying? So like when young boys come to me about girl problems, I tell them, go watch Coach EO. You know what I mean? Coach EO got that champions game, and he's super on point with his, and very honest and very blunt and very real and very, very real. As to the dynamics between men and women, I think he gets it better than most.
Yeah, see, I think that I think Andrew Tate's a very smart marketer. He's really good at, he's really, really good at doing it. But I feel like it's not somebody that you would watch anyways, because you're very confident in your masculinity. So it's not like I feel like the only time you would go to another man for help for something would be somebody that might be older than you, or like your dad or something. I don't know. I feel like somebody that's on, I don't know. I feel like he's for those guys who are like the incels that are trying to be masculine, but those guys that are trying to be masculine, by listening to somebody like Andrew Tate is giving them some sort of delusion of what an alpha male really. No, because these guys are never going to follow through with it, because Andrew Tate, he's an entertainer. Listen. Well, when you hang
Andrew
out with
Tate's some big shoes to fill.
But listen, when you go out, when you hang out with musicians, when you're in Hollywood, when you're around the entertainment industry, that's the type of persona a lot of dudes have. It's like, I've got this, I've got money, I got bitches, and it's like, to me, that was gross. I was just like, oof. But a lot of women, some women like that because they feel like, oh, he's so unattainable. It's like, I don't want that. I don't want someone who's going to have this big ego that is just like cringe to me and talks about money. It was always gross to me. But I understand that there's some women that like that because they feel like that they can tame him. You ain't going to tame that. No, there's a very particular method to tame that, and it takes a lot of work. I'm too old for that. I wouldn't be interested in doing that.
Tame Andrew Tate?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a woman on the planet that could do that. There is. It takes a lot of work. I don't know about that.
Every man could be tamed by a woman. Every man can. It's just the woman. It has to be a particular type of woman, and she has to be incredibly manipulative, and that's just too much work. You have to be a different person. But anyways, these dudes, they look up to men. They look up to men like that, and they think it's going to make them be less of an incel. But the thing is they're too pussy to carry any of that out. And you can't just listen to somebody talk like that. You have to embody that personality. You have to completely embody it. And most people are too lazy to do that because it's a lot of work it's a lot of work from going to being frail to being like this. You really have to work hard at it. And it is more than just talking about your cars, your bitches, your money, whatever it is.
No, I think Andrew talks about like, get in shape, get your money right, and then you could talk to some bitches, right? I don't think it's just.
I don't know. All the clips I see of him, it's just like this bitch, this. And I'm like,
I mean, he be talking his shit.
He
be talking his shit.
Whatever. I was just curious on that. But on that note, I'll see you on Wednesday for my show.
Oh, yes. I'll see you next Wednesday. Absolutely.
Oh, what do you and Uncle Hotep going to talk about? I always like to know.
I'm going to have a stand-in for Uncle Hotep tomorrow night. Uncle Hotep can't make it. He's doing bougie things with his bougie family.
Good for him.
Yeah, that is good for him. He deserves time off. So, yeah, I'll have a special guest, and we'll be talking about the calamity that is our country they call the United States of the Americas.
Communism.
Every time you say it, just sends chills up my spine.
Remember that one clip? I had to find that clip of you. You said,
"Wow."
You said communism. What did you say?
Communism. Wow. It just creeps into your life like a serpent. It's disgusting.
It does. All right. God bless. I'll see you next week.
All right. See you next week, y'all.
Bye.
Twitch presents our next big thing. Something long promised, but never delivered. Getting paid for using Twitter. For how many long years have you toiled for free on this God-forsaken site? What a mess. What a shame. What could have been. But now Twitch is here to save the day yet again. You'll finally be getting paid for all your hard work